Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Destined Life podcast. I am so happy to be back here with another episode. I am your host, Destiny Harris, and today I am joined by some great people. They are here. They're excited. They have some great things to say. I can't wait to get into the episode. So Andre, we have Andre here. Can you say hello to the audience?
Hello, everyone. Happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yes. Next we have Lamar. He is here. Can you say hello?
Hi, everybody. I'm happy to be here. I look forward to learning.
Yes. And we have Brian. Can you say hello?
Hey, everyone. Definitely grateful to be here and looking forward to a great discussion.
Yes, we have a great discussion on today. I know you all are excited about the episode. People have been asking me questions like, what are we going to do? But it's here. I'm so happy to be talking with you all. I'm about to get all of the tea on the male perspective of dating. So I'm really excited about that. But before we get into dating, I want to ask you all what's going on with you. So right now for segment 1, it's called Get It Off Your Chest. You all know this is a reoccurring segment in our show where we just get it off our chest. Whatever we're feeling, we just go ahead and say it aloud. And I feel like this is very helpful, and it can help you to feel better when you just let go of what you're feeling and you just say it aloud. So I'm going to start off with Brian. Brian, what do you need to get off your chest right now?
Feeling good. Feeling positive. It's a new season for me, so I've been good. Just thankful for a spirit of consistency in all areas. I was just telling someone the other day, I believe if I want the best, I have to become the best. And so really been working on myself, so I'm feeling good.
Yes, that's good. That's good. Andre, how are you feeling right now? Get it off your chest.
All right. I'm actually feeling kind of blessed because I've been listening to a lot of different podcasts and YouTubes and stuff like that. And it made me realize that I could bring something to the table that is different from what other people are bringing to the table, and it could be very helpful. I never really realized that before. I always held myself back because I wasn't doing, what everybody else was doing. So now that I realize that, I have something to offer, I'm out there. I'm on just about every podcast. I've been on television shows, radio, all of that. So
that's amazing. That's amazing. Lamar, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good. A little tired. For myself, I'm a school administrator, so we just had our first week back. I'm actually in the Philadelphia area, so we were actually hit with the hurricane. So there's a lot going on in our area, but overall, I'm just blessed that my home wasn't destroyed or anything like that. So
yes, thank God for that. Everybody seems like they're pretty good. They're good so far. That's good. I'm glad you all feel that way. I know for me right now, today is my birthday. Yes, we're recording on my birthday. I am 20 years old, so I'm really excited about that. And I feel good. I'm glad to be doing what I love on my birthday. I know my family, they were like, why are you recording on your birthday? I'm like, well, this is what I love to do. So I'm all for it. But I feel good today, and I feel blessed right now to have people around me that love me and that care about me, and to be able to most importantly, just do what I love and do what God wants me to do. I think that's amazing. And I want to make sure that I'm pleasing God, and I feel like I'm doing that. And I think that's the best birthday gift ever. So I want to go ahead and get to the episode. We are talking about dating, and we're hearing it from the male's perspective. I know that there's a lot there's a lot going on with dating right now. A lot of people have these different views. They have these different feelings. You got some people who ain't dating no more because they just say, I'm done with it. And I just realized it's not for me. But in 2021 is very different, now when it comes to dating and stuff. So I wanted to ask you all about romantic relationships right now. What is the difference between dating now versus back then? Like back when maybe your parents were dating, or maybe just an earlier part when you first started dating, you were back in college maybe, to now. What is the difference? Anybody can go and jump in. Brian, did you have something?
From one thing I've noticed is that people used to take time in dating and really like invest. Personally, I believe that dating is research for a lifetime investment. And um, unfortunately, now there's a lot of casual dating, and I think it's looked at differently than it was before. So to really get to know someone, you kind of have to go back to how things were done and take your time. Even though we may live in a microwave, high, fast-paced society, it takes time to get to know someone, and it takes time to really like learn about someone.
For sure, for sure. Andre, is there anything else you want to say to that? How has dating changed over the course of time?
Well, when I coach people, one thing that I hear a lot is how men used to be more gentlemanlike. And, they used to hold open doors, pull out chairs, and all that type of stuff, pick you up at the door. They don't do that anymore. What I had told these people that confronted me with that is this: ladies have all the power. What you tolerate will be exactly what will happen. You see, if a man doesn't have to work for it, then he won't. You understand? If he feels that he has to open the doors and pull out chairs and all that type of stuff, he will. But you have to sit up there and demand it. If you just opening your legs and, for anybody, according to the vibe and all this type of stuff, that's exactly why that happens. Because they expect that now, as opposed to the opening doors and being a gentleman and meeting the parents and all that type of stuff.
I like it. Lamar, what do you feel about that? How do you feel like it's changed, or do you feel like it's changed?
I definitely agree. I sentiment with Andre is saying. I was definitely thinking about the standard, right? The standard has really changed. I could say for me, I know, and I'm married, but back then at that time, you really had to kind of work to get a girl's number. You would have to at least meet her mom or somebody in the family, and you wasn't just going in their house, even like that. You had to bring her home at a certain time. So I remember that. The only other thing I would add to that though is that the parent involvement in that as well, meaning our parents teaching that, and a lot of parents are not teaching how to date, not telling their kids how to look for different things, or even having those effective relationships with their kids so their kids will want to talk to them. And let's be real, right? When we're growing up, we're a little hesitant to tell our parents who we like, who we're dating, so on and so forth. But as parents, I feel like we need to do a better job with actually building those relationships with our kids and teaching them early on the signs of how to find a husband or a wife. And thus, we wouldn't have a lot of issues that we have.
I agree. I totally, that was beautifully said. A lot of you all said some great points. I want to ask you all, because I know on the women's side, we're talking to the women next week, so I know they're gonna have a lot to say. So from the male perspective, do y'all feel like there's more pressure on y'all now, or do y'all feel like it's less pressure, or do you feel like it's the same? How do y'all feel during the dating season? Do y'all feel like there's more pressure on you to do things or whatever? How do you feel? Lamar, you can go ahead and answer that one.
I would say there is a little bit more pressure, and this is why I would say that. The Bible talks about a man should have pretty much everything together to, at least his spiritual, right? And he should have a house to provide for, his future wife, so on and so forth. But I do feel like sometimes it's put a lot of pressure. Like the man should have everything. Like he's supposed to be a millionaire. He's supposed to have all these cars, and yet the wife is, or the potential wife, this doesn't need to have anything. And that's not all the way accurate. It's not all about the money, or she has to have, a mansion as well. But you guys should be coming together to build. And I think sometimes they focus more on the man just building. And it is our job to lead our household, but it's also in partnership with the wife. And I think we need to both come together and realize that we both need to have that standard of you should be bringing something as well. It's not just money, but just the spiritual, as well as, empowering each other to grow together.
I love that. Brian, what do you feel?
I do feel there is a lot of pressure. You hear women say all the time, it's hard to find a man, but yet when a good man comes along, um, it's like it's like, this is what you've been praying for, this is what you've been searching for. Now here I am, and it's like I'm like, what do you want? So maybe a lot of times I think it has to do with being compared with the last person, with the last man that they were in the relationship for. Another thing, I think, having standards is great, but like Lamar was saying, it's like there is no perfect man. Both man and woman have flaws, so it's about coming together and being able to make it work. So I believe that's the important thing about it.
Yes, Andre, did you have anything to say to that, or what?
I agree with both of the gentlemen. But I will say that it's easier to alleviate a lot of the stress on relationships if you know exactly what you want. So what I like to do is create a list of the things that I want in a relationship, what I will tolerate, what I will not tolerate. And so now when I go out there and I actually look for a relationship, I know exactly what I'm looking for. It's not just the girl with the big breasts and the big butt and all that type of stuff. I want an attractive woman, but it has to be deeper than that. So me knowing what I want makes all the difference, okay? Because understand this, if I sit up there and I date this one and date that one and date this one, I just be dating a whole bunch of women that I have no idea what I want. And each one could be wrong. And that's why each one doesn't last, because I didn't know where I was going. Just like with GPS in your car. If you set the GPS, you know exactly where you're going, as opposed to not setting it and going somewhere you've never been before.
I love it. You just kind of went into my next question, because I was going to ask if y'all had a list, because a lot of us, I know I did, or whatever, and a lot of people, they have a list. They may not want to admit to it, but they know they got a list. They got some things that's like, oh no, that's it. A lot of things with the physical thing and also with the mental or whatever. So I know Andre already answered, but Lamar, did you have a list, of as of what you wanted?
Yeah, well, I'm saved now. So at the time, I definitely had a worldly list. Body type. I'll be real. She had to be light skinned. Cause my generation, and I'm 32, so like that Beyonce type, foolishness that a lot of people used to believe in at the time. That's just was my mindset at the time I was young. But my mindset obviously has changed. My wife is educated. We met in college. So for me, if I had to say what my list was, she had to be intelligent. She also had to have some street wisdom. You know what I mean? Somebody who knows how to maneuver, not just in the business office, but also on the streets. Because let's be real, you need to know how to talk to people in all different facets and places. And also, she really had to be loving. Because I say, me personally, I didn't grow up with, I felt like enough love in my household. So whoever I was desiring to marry, I wanted to make sure that they love on my kids. So that was like my list for me.
Wow, Brian, how do you feel about that? Do you have a list, or are you still creating? Are you add to it, take it away?
Yes, I do have a list. I have a vision board, and where it's, I believe in God for, the kingdom wife, and there are certain qualities, like, of course, a woman who looks good, but more importantly, like a woman who allows me to minister to her, a woman who has who I can have patience and understanding. It's not just her way or the highway. Let's come together and come with understanding. The Bible says, get wisdom, and all thy getting, get understanding. So and someone I can be best friends with, someone I can share my innermost parts of me with, and it not be used against me, but we can come together and build and grow together. And so yeah.
I love it. I love it. I like how Lamar, you talked about your parents, and I know for me, when I look at my parents, they have influenced my list or whatever, as you would say, they've influenced it a lot. There are a lot of things that I look for in a man that I don't probably want. Andre, is there something you wanted to say?
I want to add to that because
Okay.
he hit on something so powerful. What has changed a lot is the fact that we model our parents. Okay, we only know exactly what we see. So if the parents are not in the home, if dad, is off somewhere hanging out with his friends instead of being home, if mom is out with her friends partying instead of being home, the kids are left to raise themselves. There's no communication. We sit up there and think we're communicating when we spend a half an hour at the dinner table talking, and that's it. Meanwhile, the kids are spending 6 or 7 hours in school, and they got 1,000 different people telling them different things against your one. So it's important to not just talk to the kids, but be the kind of person you want your children to be.
Yes, and I think it's important because for those that may want to have children in the future, I know for me, and I'm going to speak for myself. I know that that's something that I look for in a man, is that I want to raise up children that will help the next generation. Because I know a lot of people, they're like, oh, their generation messed up. It's like, I don't believe in saying that, because I don't feel like my whole generation is messed up. Now, I know there's some things that's like, we really need to pray for y'all. But I just feel like, there's a way to be able to help them and to be able to help those children and teaching them the right way. You know the right way, so teach it. And don't just keep it for yourself, but teach it. And I know for me, when it comes to my list or the way that I would like for my future husband to be, there are things that are within my parents that I was like, there's some things that I liked, and then there's some things I'm like, I don't think I would want that, and I know for me, because I know my father, he's a pastor, and I see what they all have to go through, and I'm like, I don't want that. I don't want it. Now, I'm not saying that may not happen. I just like, God, I'm just begging, please don't let that be please. So there are certain things, maybe it's a profession, or maybe it's certain qualities about them, or whatever characteristics that you're just like, what, these are things that I don't want a part of it. And you ask God about it, and you just like, God, please, I'm begging you, please don't let this be a part of it. So I would say, when it comes to your parents, Brian, because I know I didn't really hear from you, did your parents influence your dating life or your way of going about with talking to women?
Of course, my dad had, his version of the right way to, talk to women. And with my mom, she didn't really say that much, but I learned a lot from my mom by what I saw. So, whether knowingly or unknowingly, I definitely believe that, what I learned and what I saw through my parents, like, definitely influenced like how I date and how I approach dating.
Yes, and learning from these different things, like how we said, with learning with parents and learning how there may be some things they probably didn't talk about that they find out later. I know my parents were talking to me the other day about when they first got together and how it was very rough living in a house together when they were used to being, single and doing whatever they want and coming home whenever they wanted. It's very different, or whatever. And that's why I say communication. You want to make sure that you're on one accord on what you believe in and what you think. So with us, we talk about Christian dating. So do y'all think it's okay for you to date somebody who does not believe in God? Andre, you want to take it?
The Bible tells you to not be unequally yoked, because light has nothing in common with darkness. Okay, so I don't believe in dating a woman that's not a Christian woman, period, under any circumstances. I don't care how good she looks.
Okay, Lamar, how you feel about that?
Now the Bible also talks about, even if they're not Christian, God will still accept the marriage, based on the possibility that they will. It's a possibility they could get converted. Even if they're not, God will still allow the marriage. So me personally, I agree with Andre. I would prefer a Christian, but I mean, let's be real, or I'll at least speak for me. I wasn't always saved. My wife was actually, at the time, she wasn't my wife. but she was saved, I wasn't. And then through my interaction with her, I got saved. So I would just tell anybody, obviously use wisdom and discernment. But if you're living for Christ, you don't know who you can impact. So I wouldn't say necessarily limit your options, but as Andre said, I would make sure that they're at least striving for perfection in Christ.
Okay, so do you think that when it comes to because you said that you were not a Christian when you first met your wife? Is that what you're saying?
Yep.
So you were. Okay, do you think that it's okay for you to wait, like on the dating thing? Because there may be somebody you like, oh, I'm interested in them, but you know what? They don't believe in God. And it's like, you know what? Let me just be friends with them. Is that okay? Or do you feel like that's kind of dangerous, Lamar?
Honestly, I think if you're saying now, let's be clear on friends. We mean literally just friends. I'm just putting that
Yeah,
out
literally
there.
just
Yeah,
friends. Yeah,
just
because I know
friends,
that
because
a lot of
friends these days can mean a whole bunch of things. But I think it's fine if because like I said, me and my wife, we, her ministering to me about certain things. Again, I had went to church and stuff, but she was more foundationally sound in the Bible. And like I said, just from my interactions and watching her and even, some of her leadership, and now I'm in leadership at that church. So it was just from her just setting the example for me is what converted me. It wasn't anything she forced on me. But imagine if she never had said, you know what, he's not all the way saved or whatever the case may be. We wouldn't be married now and I probably wouldn't be saved. So you just never know.
Right. So you would say be cautious with it. Because I know that there's some people who you're saved, but you may be a babe in Christ. And you still got the weaknesses. You're still trying to learn. So maybe somebody who's not saved may not be somebody you probably want to be friends with yet, because you're probably not ready for that. But I think, like how you said, making sure you have wisdom and making sure that you know what making sure that God is leading you in it, because God will tell you, no, you're not ready for that. Or, I would like for you to just talk to them and minister to them. This could be a way for you to bring somebody to God, and you might get a wife out of it too. And that's kind of, some people, they have that story. Brian, I want to ask you a question. When it comes to your relationship with God, are you okay? I believe that you have a good relationship with him. Are you okay with being somebody who may be a babe in Christ or may not be as strong, may not have as strong of a relationship with God like you? Is that okay?
Yeah, I believe everyone's at different levels in the relationship with God, but just like how every successful math equation has a common denominator. So it's okay if you're a babe in Christ, but we need to have a common denominator, which is God, which is the same beliefs. I can't be a Christian and they be a Muslim or they be a Hindu or something. It's like we need the common denominator, which is God. And then whether you're a babe or not, we have God as a foundation. So then we could begin to build on that.
I love the way you explained it. That was awesome. Andre, what can you say something to that?
I loved exactly what he said. Okay, because there are some atheists out there that no matter what you say to them, they're not going to want to believe in God. They'll believe in aliens that they haven't seen quicker than they'll believe in God. So I agree with him on that. I would say, and to add to the friends thing, I would say if they weren't Christians, we could still be friends. I'm not going to shun you off, but as far as the dating and when I'm dating, I'm thinking about marriage, okay? Because it's a step-by-step process. So if we're friends and you're an atheist or whatever, and we begin to date, I'd already talked to you about Christ, and you already converted before I started dating you, and then we would build from there. But I'm not dating you, and you're an atheist, because why would I be dating you? What is the purpose of me dating you? Me dating you is to find a wife. If you're not qualified to be my wife, then why would I be dating you?
I see your point, because right now, a lot in my dating world right now is that a lot of people, they date for fun. They're like, oh yeah, we're just having fun right now. That's it. I didn't see any future in mind or whatever, which is very annoying, because it's just like, like you just think, yeah, this is some, we're supposed to be going, we're supposed to be thinking about marriage, or, and then some people don't think about marriage. They feel like, it should just be a fun thing, think in the moment. They don't think about the future. So as a Christian, because I know it's different from a worldview, so we were talking about Christian dating here. Do y'all think it's okay for you to date without intent, to date just for fun? Like, we're just having fun together. Anybody could take this one. Anyone could jump in. Who wants to answer that one? Say what you feel. Anybody? Brian? Oh, Lamar.
I don't think if they're not dating with intent, then it is just you being friends. So that's what it is with that. But I think definitely if you're really serious, and I think that if we're really talking about preparing for marriage, then we need to use the correct term of courting. I know people don't use the word courting no more, but that's pretty much what it is. And you should really be spending that time to know each other. Then the next step would be, learning about their family history, so on and so forth. And then if you're really at that next step where you want to get married, then that's when you need to sit down with one of you guys' leadership, to kind of go through the marriage counseling process to really start working out those kinks before you get married. Now, obviously, you're not going to work everything out, but at least you're starting to build that foundation of what to expect in marriage. So I think everything should be intentional.
Yes. Do you think that we should be calling it courting or dating with intent, or that we shouldn't just say dating? Because I know dating I feel like in the world that can mean a lot of different things, and they got these different things like the talking stage and the dating stage and then this stage, and it's really annoying. It's just a lot to keep up with. So do you feel like we should be us as Christians, we should just say that we're courting, or should we say that we're dating with intent, or do you feel like you should just go with the flow and you all figure that out yourselves? Or what do you think about that, Lamar?
To be transparent with you, I feel like the part of the problem in Christianity is that we keep changing things and everybody's confused. So I think, me personally, we should just call it courting, so that way the children who are believers, they understand exactly what we're talking about. Because like you said, if I call it dating, that's open for interpretation in a whole bunch of ways. So if we call it courting and we teach the foundation behind what it really means, according to God's word, that would alleviate a lot of confusion.
Yeah. Andre, can you say something to that? What do you feel about that? Or is it
I mean, I agree with it. He hit it on the nose. There's nothing really to add to that.
I think it's important. I'm sorry?
I think it's important to date with intent.
Right. One thing that I appreciate now is people who are direct, men who tell me exactly what they want. That is something that I appreciate. Before, I would have been like, no, let's just, have a game, and that's like very childish, play the little games and stuff. It's like, no, tell me exactly what you want, so I know if I need to go or if I need to stay, or if I need to kind of put you on hold and maybe just ask God about, like, God, I don't know about this one, but I want to know exactly what you want and what you want in the end. We're gonna move on a little bit. So I want to go with I want to talk about abstinence. I want to go into this. Now, I know that people, they have their different views, and some people, they don't practice abstinence during dating, but we're going to talk about those that are trying to practice abstinence and waiting until marriage to have sex. So my first question is, how is sex viewed now? And you could give the world's view and you could give the church's view right now of sex. Brian, you can go ahead and take this one.
I feel in its original state, sex was intended to be a beautiful thing, but unfortunately, the world has taken it and has tried to devalue it, and it's real sad because it's not the world's institution, it's God's institution. But all it takes is one drop of food coloring to change a whole color of the water in a pitcher. And I believe we really have to be intentional about reclaiming what's rightfully that it is God's institution. So you can't, it's like in the entertainment industry, there's copyright laws, and you can't take something that someone else and reconfigure it without their approval. So it's like, how can you take marriage and try to reconfigure it when you're not the one who created it in the first place?
You are amazing at explaining stuff. I love it. I love it. Andre, can you talk to me about that? How do you think the world views sex versus how the church views sex right now in 2021?
2021 is it's like it's a free-for-all, basically. You know, the church tells you to wait until marriage. That's what you're supposed to do as a Christian. Now, does that happen? No. This is why the Bible tells you to, if you can't control yourself, that you should find a wife. So that what that basically means is you should be dating with intent to find a wife. People don't do that. Okay? They forget that part that the Bible tells you, if you cannot control yourself, you should be married. So how do you get married? You can't get married without dating with intent. And that's what we don't do today. That's why you have kids growing up without fathers, you know, single mothers, all types of stuff, because people not dating with intent. They didn't plan to marry. They were just having fun. And what you have now is a child that I don't think he's having too much fun growing up without a father.
You said some stuff there. You did. Lamar, okay, I want to ask you something. So when it comes to the world's view right now, sex and how they're dealing with it versus how the church is viewing it and how they talk about it, what are some things that you think are right with the way that the world talks about sex or the way that they deal with it? Are there any things that you think that maybe the church can take from the world?
To be honest with you, no, not really. I work in the school. To be honest with you, the way it's kind of taught, it's just as long as you wear protection, it's cool. And don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm not condoning it, but I'm saying at least protection is a preventative measure. But if I would say that, if anything, but besides that, there's really nothing from the world I would suggest that really that we could take from there, because a lot of it is just teaching our kids, as Andre says, just a free for all to do whatever it is you want with whoever, and just accept the consequence. You know, abort the kid if possible. It's just not a good sign. So that's my opinion.
Yeah, and I want to talk about, because I know for the female's perspective, when it comes to women, you know, you're supposed to keep yourself, you know, and we're just like, you know, if you do lose your virginity, you're like horrible, disgusting, like, whoa, you know, God has to really just, you know, and they're really torn down. I know for the female's perspective, but I want to hear from the male's perspective. Did you all feel pressure to lose your virginity? I know y'all had the world's view and the churches. For those of y'all who may have grown up in church, you know, you may have both or whatever. Did you all feel pressure to lose your virginity, you know, right away, or did you not feel any pressure? Did you feel like you could take your time? Andre, you want to go ahead and take this one?
There was pressure. There were people that were having sex all the time. I always tell people this story about the guy I grew up with in high school. He was 17 years old and he had 17 children. I'm glad I met him because he taught me the reason why I was abstaining. So I didn't have my first child until I was 25 and I was married. So we're not doing all of that.
Yeah. So Brian, do you feel pressure? Do you feel like the world, whether it's the world or the church? I mean, because sometimes people in the church that's a whole different thing. But you know, sometimes people in the church, you know, they in church, but they still, you know, it's just the world. You know, they still got the world view of, you know, sex or whatever. So do you feel pressure when it comes to losing your virginity or whatever?
At the time, and you know, in high school, there was a lot of pressure, and the church, there was, okay, people in the church, you know, especially back in the 90s, would always say, you know, abstain. But you know, I feel they didn't go deep. Okay, you say abstain, but what does that look like? How do you do that? You know, it's easy to say it, but show me, give me something applicable as, you know, how I could walk this thing out, you know, but yeah.
I love that. I love that. And we're gonna I know you mentioned the church, and I want to get into it right now, but I was like, I'm gonna wait because I want to wait with everybody when we have the women and the men together, because that's gonna be a big part that everybody's kind of waiting on the conversation. Like, how has the church dealt with this subject? Well, we're gonna hold off on it. We're gonna hold off on it. What do y'all think about the about abstinence, and when you're practicing this? Not like how we said, not all Christians are practicing abstinence. Not all of them are waiting until marriage or, you know, doing whatever. So when do you feel like this should be mentioned? When do you feel like you need to tell your your dating partner or whatever that you are practicing abstinence? Or should it be before you all start dating? Lamar, what do you think?
I would say, I mean, I'm gonna be real. Definitely like the second time y'all have a conversation, because I mean, let's be real. If you don't really know somebody the first time, I wouldn't necessarily go into all my personal business, even though abstinence is not really anything. It is personal, but I just feel like that's kind of a, if I'm really taking you serious, then I'm gonna have that conversation with you the second time. Because the first time, maybe just getting to know you, feel you out. But after that, definitely by that next conversation, like, look, this is on my standards. We're not doing anything until we're married, or, you know, obviously we get to that point. So, you know, there won't be any type of engagements with that. But I think also too, the key is Brian brought up a good point about like teaching how to actually stay in that point of not having sex. The biggest thing for me, and I'll say this, was finding a hobby. I'm gonna be real with you. I mean, the Holy Spirit too, but definitely working out, making sure I'm not watching stuff that's going to arouse me. I mean, I'm just going to be honest, staying from certain situations. So.
I like that. Andrea, can you help me? There are people who are practicing abstinence. They mentioned this, but they didn't set any boundaries. They didn't say, they just said, oh yeah, they agreed, okay, we're both gonna practice abstinence, but they always find themselves in positions or, you know, situations where it's like, oh man, we about to mess up. So what do you all how can they have that conversation about having boundaries or whatever? How should that conversation go when it comes to trying to remain abstinent?
Well, I agree with what the gentleman said. You know, you have to speak to that in the very beginning. Nip things in the bud. Let people know where you stand from the very start. Let people know, you know, your intentions from the very start. And don't be caught alone. When you go out, go to places where there's a crowd, the movies, dinner, things like that. Don't take her back to your house and there's a Netflix and chill and nobody's home and then things happen.
Uh-huh. I think that's funny. She said, my father, he was just talking about this on a Bible study night. He was like, make sure, you know, you tell me, yeah, she was just coming over to, you know, we're just going to do Bible study, and, you know, you end up studying something else. And that's just not, you got to make sure you watch out for sure. Be real with yourself. You know that there's some things that, you know, may cause you to go there. So be real. I think that's the main thing, is just be real about it. What are some mistakes that you feel that Christian men are making? And then we're going to ask about women, but we're going to first start off with men. What are some, oh, I'm sorry. Yes, Brian? Did you have something?
On that note, I just wanted to say, I believe, you know, being honest and upfront, you know, is definitely important as far as boundaries. And, you know, if I'm dating a woman, you know, I'll let her know upfront. It may sound silly, but I have a rule that I don't talk to women on the phone after 10 at night. You know, not because of them. It's just because I know me. I've been with me all my life, and I know the later it gets, how my mind is. So I try to, you know, hold off on making important decisions to the morning. And you know, if it's after 10, that's not the best time to be talking to the opposite sex, because, you know, nothing against the other person, but again, I know me. I know how my mind is, and yeah.
And not a lot of people are willing to admit that. Not a lot of people are willing to admit that, you know, I'm like, no, we just talking, you know, we just friends, you know, and then that whole thing of, you know, we just friends, and you know how you So you have to be real for sure. I definitely agree. When it comes to men though, what is some Christian men specifically, what are mistakes that you think that Christian men are making right now when it comes to dating? I'm going to ask for women next, but right now, men, what are some things that they are doing that you're like, we really need to get better, or whatever? So I'm going to have Andre, if you want to jump in there.
I believe that Christian men need to first analyze themselves as on a whole. Know yourself, know your limitations, be good to yourself. If you can't be good to yourself, how can you be good to anyone else? So I believe that as Christian men, we have to, in order to lead, you have to be able to, know yourself for one thing, and know your limitations, period. Know who you are. Just like it's like the guy said, he doesn't call after 10. Why? Because he knows himself. So you eliminate the issues.
Lamar, what do you think?
He brought out some good points. I definitely need to analyze myself, but I would definitely say three things: accountability, and we get our accountability from God. So I think Christian men need to spend more time in the Word, first knowing it for themselves. What are we supposed to be doing? Because there's a lot of people telling us what we're supposed to be doing, but if we would just read it for ourselves, we would know. I think two, teaching. If I know, I should be teaching the young men in my church or whoever. I should be showing them how to do this, how this looks, answering their questions. Because I feel like sometimes in church, like, let's be honest, we shy away from talking about these things, but these are the problems that we need to actually speak on. And then the last one, I would just say, actually just being that example. For me personally, well, I'm at the church I'm at now. They were a good example of what it looks like, but I ain't gonna lie, some of the churches that I have been to growing up in a church, or I didn't grow up in a church, but just some of the churches I experienced in my youth, I saw some bad examples, you know what I mean, of, what not to do. But at the time, I didn't know that. So really just being that example, I would say for me too.
Brian, did you have any more mistakes that you feel like Christian men are doing right now in dating that they need to change?
I just think it's important to know where you stand and to know like where your mind is. So basically, I think knowing where you are, King David was at the wrong place at the wrong time, which caused him to see something he shouldn't have had. If he was in battle instead of chilling on the rooftop, he wouldn't have seen Bathsheba in the first place. And so some things can be avoided, but we have to know like where we are, and that's like going back to what they're saying is being real with yourself. You shouldn't have to fake the funk with yourself, but being real and being transparent and honest with yourself and knowing like, okay, this is where I'm at, this is what I'm doing, am I in alignment with where I need to be, physically, geographically, spiritually, and then going from there. So it takes a lot of peeling back some layers, and being real with yourself.
Yes, I like it. Now, I know y'all talked about men, so let's talk about the women. I don't want y'all to, but don't go too far. But no, I'm kidding. But just say some things that you feel like Christian women, there's some mistakes that they have when they go into dating or they're in the dating process that you feel like y'all need to get this together. I'm gonna have Brian. Why don't you go first?
Some things in regards to Christian women. I think a big thing is I'm not comparing who I am to who you last dealt with, because then it's like instead of being able to enjoy getting to learn someone new, in the back of your mind, you're always looking for them to mess up or to do something wrong based on how the previous, and I'm not the previous man, I'm me. So it's like, give me a fighting chance, So I think that, I always tell people there's a reason why the rear mirror is much smaller than the windshield. Although what's in your rear mirror may be great, what's in your windshield is much greater. So, here I am, look at me, see what I have to offer.
I love that. I love it. Andre, did you want to say something today? Because I saw you.
I loved what he said because women constantly make that comparison. Let's face facts. They bring luggage from the last relationship. The last man hurt them, so they think every man is like him. But they're not. So you have to give each man, treat each person as an individual. Give me my shot. Don't blame me for what the last guy did. You know, I would say you can't dress the same way for Alaska that you would dress for Miami. They're two different places. You bring two different types of luggage to these places. You have to treat each individual just like that.
Yeah. Lamar, did you have anything else you want? Any other things that you feel like women need to get better at? These Christian women.
Well, I appreciate my older brothers in Christ, man. Y'all dropping some nuggets, and I like the windshield and the luggage. I'm gonna definitely use that.
Yeah.
But, no, really, I would say pretty much, in my opinion, what they're describing is accurate. It's pretty much, not dealing with your hurts and traumas that happened before I came. And as a result, now, you just a bomb waiting to explode on every little thing. And like you said, it's just, like the gentleman said, it's just like triggering those things that happened in the past. But I will also say the biggest thing for Christian women, I think, in my opinion, they should work on is their communication. And I know that the women in our church have been kind of working on that. Because that's a big thing. We don't need all the attitude all the time. We don't need all the negativity and complaining. Now, don't get me wrong. Everybody has their moments. So I'm not expecting anybody to be perfect. But I think, women need to talk, like, you need to honor your husband. You need to be respectful. You don't need to talk to him crazy or, even embarrass him in public, with some of the things that you may be saying or even your actions. So just really that communication piece, I think is a valuable tool. And the Bible talks about it's power in the tongue. So just imagine, a woman that's constantly being disrespectful to her husband, how much that's weighing on him and, making him maybe want to leave. So yeah, it's important what you say out your mouth.
Yes. Now this next question is a bit this may cause a little ruffle a couple of feathers. So do you all feel that there is more required of a woman than a man, or a man of a woman? Which one do you think they require more of, like during the dating process? Do you feel like there's more required of a woman during the dating process, or do you feel like there's more required of a man during the dating process? Please take your time, because I want you to, But Andre, I'm very curious to hear what you have to say. What do you feel?
To me, I believe that both couples should bring something to the table, period. I don't believe that one should be here, the other one be down here. No. God took Eve from Adam's rib to be by his side, not in back of him, not in front of him or anything else. Okay, so what I consider a relationship, if I'm going to be taking, if I'm working and she's working and we have a home together, why is it that she's doing cooking, cleaning, helping the kids with homework, and I'm sitting back watching a football game? If we both have jobs, why should she come home and have a second job? I feel that's just the man's responsibility to help her out, to split the work, help cook, help clean, help the child with the homework. There's nothing wrong with you doing that, but a lot of men don't.
So you feel like it should be equal? You feel like it's equal? Yes. So, okay. Lamar, what do you think?
I agree with him. I got a 4-year-old son, so I know exactly what you're talking about. Come from work, straight home. I'm in daddy mode now, so I completely agree with him. There is nothing, for the most part, a man should be doing that no, there is nothing that a woman is doing that a man can't necessarily help out with. You should be stepping in there cleaning. It's both of you guys' house. The only thing I would say is just, obviously the Bible talks about a man leading this household, as like a pastor. So that's not to say he dominates his wife, but the man should have some type of authority in his household. You know what I mean? And that's in conjunction, as he said, with like Adam and Eve, with her being by the side. So I would say just simply, make sure you're communicating with your spouse before any decisions are made. That's something that we're big on in my household. Ultimately, my wife, and she'll have no problem with me saying this. Ultimately, if we come to a disagreement or I feel like it's totally off, or she will respect my authority in the household to say, you know what, my husband doesn't agree with that. We've talked about it respectfully. He's heard my side and I heard his side, and he's saying no, then she's cool with that. But it's not, and just to clarify, it's not me dominating, not me just running her. If I say no, and I'm not hearing her out, it's not that type of thing. It's more so us working together. But God said it's God, then it's the husband. That's the next in order. So, and she respects that.
Love that. I love it. That's awesome. And I feel like you just gave some great advice to people who may be struggling to understand what it means for a man to take over the household, and that they're supposed to be over it. They're like, I don't really know what that means. And some people, they do it in a very negative way. And then some people, they don't do it at all because they don't know. So I think that was amazing. Brian, what do you feel? Do you feel like there's more pressure on the woman or more pressure on the man? Or do you feel like it's pretty equal right now in dating in 2021? Do you feel like what do you feel?
I definitely feel like, it should be equal. There is no I in team, and whatever. I think it's both people coming together and find out what they're good at. Okay, this person may be good with finances. This person may be good at certain things around the house. So it's coming together and bringing what you're good at and making it work. In the sports world, championships are never won by one person. You can have the greatest quarterback in the world, but what good is the greatest quarterback without anyone to catch the ball? So, it takes a quarterback and a receiver, and then coming together and working together and using their strengths for a common desired result. And it goes the same in a marriage and in a household.
Yes, come through with these examples and analogies. I'm loving it. I'm all here for it. I love it. I love it. Y'all are talking about some great things. We're gonna go ahead and move on to segment 3. Real quick, as y'all know from my audience, y'all know that right now our monthly declaration is creating, new connections and networking and stuff. So our monthly declaration for September is, I declare that this month I will make new godly connections with others. I will, with the help of God, build a circle of people that can add value to my life and support me, while I make sure to do the same for others. So I would like for each person to tell me, what are you doing now as a man to better your romantic relationship? Or your romantic life, because I know some people are married, some people are not. So what are you doing right now in your romantic life to better yourself? Brian, you can go first.
For me, I believe in preparing myself. As I mentioned earlier, I can't expect the best if I'm not the best. And also, I've learned a lot that it's a lot about coming to the table with understanding. I can't protect something I don't understand. I can't protect something I don't understand. So if it's my role to protect my wife, I have to know and understand her love language. I have to understand how she loves and what hurts her, what builds her up, so I can protect her and pour into her. And so understanding is key, and just learning to come to the table, in study mode, because I have to study how things work, just how how you study how a car works before you drive it. You study how something is done before using it. Well, if I'm to abide with my love, I need to come with understanding, because that's a big part. For instance, if her love language isn't bowling, why am I getting her a bowling ball for Christmas? So it's all about knowing how she walks and being able to walk alongside and help her. if she's falling to the left, I shouldn't be reaching to my right with my hand out. I should be reaching for my left. So just being attentive, I think.
So being attentive, would you is something that you're working on? I mean, something that you're trying to better in your romantic life. Is that what you're saying? Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
I believe that that's important. It's not just about what I like, where I like to go eat, but learning what she likes and surprising her, and just tapping into that emotional side that you men can be emotions. God has given us all emotions, and being able to use that and show her love, what love looks like, just as God continually shows me.
I love that. I think that's amazing. I feel like women out there are gonna love to hear that. That's great. That somebody out there is trying to be more attentive. Lamar, what are you doing right now? I know you're married, so in your you would say like in your marriage, in your romantic life, what are you trying to do better?
I think for me at this point in our marriage, we're really just trying to get back to the simple things, before we had a kid and all that other stuff. And even when we were kind of courting, right? Just having fun, just enjoying each other's company, just, really telling each other that we love each other. It's those simple things. 'Cause I think sometimes when we get caught up in the ministry, work, children, so on and so forth, we get so busy. Sometimes we don't do those little things that really make a difference, especially when you do it consistently. So I think for us, that's our biggest thing right now. Just getting back to really enjoying each other, relearning each other, because obviously we've grown. Me and my wife have been married 7 years next month, but we've known each other for like 12 years. So, obviously 12 years, we've changed. So, just really trying to get to learn each other and see where we are now and just enjoy each other, have fun.
I love that. I love that. Andre, what are you trying to do to better your romantic life?
Well, one thing I always tell people is that maintenance is extremely important in the relationship. So that's what I always try to do. I try to remember what I did to get the woman and continue to do the things that she likes, communicate a whole lot more, because what she likes today may not be what she likes tomorrow, because what she saw the other day only was because she never saw something else. You understand? If she goes and talks to her friend tells her, oh, my man is doing this, and that, and you're not doing it, then now she wants something totally different than what she originally told you. So that's why the communication part is extremely important. So
Yes, I think that's amazing. Yeah, y'all had some great things that I feel like y'all could even that hopefully other people are doing as well. We're drawing towards the end of the episode. Y'all have shared some great things. So before we go, I would like for you all to leave a piece of advice for those people out there, those men that may be struggling. We got people, there may be some men who are married, some that are single, some that are divorced, some that are don't know what they want to do right now. They're just like, I don't want to do nothing. But I would like for y'all to share like just a brief like one sentence, if you will, like some advice for them to be able to follow that they may need help in, or just something that they can go home with. So Andre, if you would like to go first. Andre.
You froze.
Yes.
I didn't hear what you said.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, so if you can give a piece of advice for the for men out there who are for their romantic life, and there are people in all different stages, whether they're married, dating, whatever it is, just a piece of advice, one sentence, just something that they can follow for right now.
Communication. That's the most important thing. Find out what she likes, her dislikes, all that type of stuff. Don't go and try to spend a whole bunch of money right off trying to impress her. I tell people, if you take out to a seafood restaurant and because you think you balling or whatever, trying to spend all this money, then you took her to the seafood restaurant, she didn't enjoy it because she's allergic to seafood. So you wasted money doing nothing because you didn't communicate. Communication is so important.
I love that. Brian, what is your advice?
I would say in the same way how when reading a book, you don't judge a whole book based on one bad chapter. Likewise, if you've had a bad experience or a bad relationship in the past, not to let that, kill your hopes, just to learn from that, extract the nutrients and the lessons from that, and become a better you. And, you know, protect and build up your expectation and keep going, and it will get better.
I love that. Good, good. Lamar, what is something that people, something for the men out there to do?
I would simply just put it, whatever you put your value at is what you will get back. So, if you're trying to really find a wife or, somebody that you want to be with, then you need to have that value on yourself and have that integrity, and thus you will get that back. If you're not putting that out there and you're not working, you're not sowing those seeds of, Christ in, all facets of your life, you are not going to get that back. So whatever you put out there, is what you're going to get back.
Yes, I think you all gave some great advice for those people out there, those men who may need some help. And I feel like from all of these, women can take as well, for sure, for everybody, I think. So this is some great, great advice. You all did an amazing job explaining your views and explaining your feelings towards dating right now in 2021, because it is hard out here. So I'm glad that you all are talking. I pray that people are blessed by this episode. This can help people to think more, to talk to God more, and to be able to understand dating, and that their romantic lives will become better, become stronger, and more godly, if you will. So before we go, I want everyone to be able to follow you guys, and they're wondering where are they? Where can I find them? So Lamar, can you let people know where to find you? You can say a little bit about who you are if you're about your podcast or whatever. I don't want to say too much, but yes, where can they find you?
All right. So again, I'm Lamar. You can actually find me on Instagram. I also have my own Christian podcast called At the Marty Mar Show. So the other guests on here and our hosts, if I reach out to you, it's because you're gonna be on. So again, you can follow me on Instagram at the Marty Mar Show. Also on YouTube. My episodes are recorded as well. Again, at the Marty Mar Show. And that's how you guys can follow me.
Yes, Brian. Okay.
I'm Brian Porter. I can be found on Facebook, Brian David Porter. I'm also for a podcaster as well, Brian's Place, on Spotify and YouTube, and just released a book based on the first season of the podcast, and also on Instagram as BrideDavy888, and I'm here. Feel free to reach out.
Yes, good. Andre, let us know where to find you.
Okay, I'm Andre A.J. Carter, also known as the Love Mechanic. You can find me on Facebook or Instagram at Just Ask Dre. I'm the author of the relationship manual for men that's loved by women. I'm also coming out with 2 other books, the 10 Commandments, the 10 Love Commandments. That's one of my books, and Don't Regret What You Accept is the other one.
Okay, I got a little stuff for people to read. I got a couple books that y'all can go ahead and read, some things to check out. I think that's amazing. Thank y'all so much for being on today. I really, really enjoyed it. I pray that this, I know it will bless somebody, and somebody will learn something from this and make people think, and maybe and to spark a conversation. We're hoping spark conversations. That's what my whole podcast, that's one of the things that I want to do, is spark conversations and make people want to talk and like understand things better. So yes, thank you all so much for being here. Thank you, audience, for joining me. This is what is it? Part 3 of the Destined Relationship series. So it's amazing, and y'all have to make sure y'all are here next week. We're gonna have the women on, and we're gonna talk from the female perspective of Christian dating. So make sure y'all look out for that. We are asking that you all please follow us on Instagram at the Destined Life _. You can also subscribe to the Destined Life YouTube channel. We also have a Destined Life Facebook page, and this podcast is available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Audible, and the Podbean app. So make sure you check out those and let people know about it, share it, and let other people know that Best in Life is a great podcast. We just be talking about achieving the life that God is playing for us. My name is Destiny Harris. I am your host, and I am reminding you to choose today to live your best life, and that's the Best in Life. God bless you and enjoy your day. Bye.